The following is a Comfortably Zoned Radio Network production.
Thank you, Tally Olson. I am back, comfortably zoned with the Zig Zag Man in Alameda, California, right across the bay from San Francisco, across the moat from Oakland, in living in a great community. And it's nice when I have a fellow Alamedan as a guest. Jerry Feitelberg, pharmacist, baseball announcer, podcast guy. You are a Renaissance man. How are you, Jerry?
Well, thank you, Ralph. That was a very nice introduction, and thank you for having me on the podcast. It's always a pleasure to do one with you.
Oh, it's my honor as usual. You are terrific, and what I like to do is stay out of your way. And we were talking off the air. Politics is it's Thursday, and politics is can't get away from it. From Trump, the January 6th massacre, as I call it. And they had meetings today. You were right there on CNN. And what's it all about?
Yeah, I watched the hearings today. It started out mostly as a recap of what they found, but they expounded on as we know, Trump's been pushing the big lie for almost 2 years now, since the last election. He's been at his rallies saying that the election was stolen. He's keep on saying that stuff. It was rigged. It was stolen. And now, of course, not only does he have problems with the J6 committee, he's got these stolen documents problems. We'll get to that a little bit later. He's got a lot of lawsuits and possible indictments coming down the pike, so should be interesting. But for the J6,
do you think when you say possible indictments, rather than using the word probable indictments, would you use probable indictments at this point? Because there's, like you say, there's a number of things, the Georgia, the New York courts. It's really probable at this point, I would hope. What say you about that?
Well, I would agree with that analysis. I think on the rallies where he said he admitted he took 15 boxes. He admitted to 15 boxes, but there were a lot more. He admitted to taking them, and he continues to say, I believe they're mine. They belong to me. They don't belong to the government. He's totally wrong on that. The documents under the Presidential Records Act belongs to us, the American people. And we have a right to the documents. He has no right to the documents. And everything he's saying about what other presidents done is totally ludicrous, especially the one about George H.W. Bush, where it was in a bowling alley and in a Chinese restaurant, which is total nonsense. The building had once been a bowling alley, but it had been abandoned, and then was taken over by NARA, the National Archives and Records Administration. Excuse me for a second. And they made it into an archives facility.
Yeah, and it was secured, and it was
secure. They had guards there. It was secure, and there's no way. It was just total nonsense. But that's Trump. He's just totally nonsensical. And he has all these conspiracy theories, and he where he dreams this stuff up is unbelievable. He makes it up. But as far as today at the January 6th committee, they had some new revelations. They had some information what the Secret Service knew. They knew beforehand that there was potential for violence. There are questions about the Secret Service. Should they have shut down the rally? They have done others where there was potential for violence. At his rally, there were a lot of people that refused to go through the magnetometers, where they would have been discovered to be carrying weapons. So they were out beyond the ellipse. I think there were 15 or 20,000 people out there. They could hear him, but they weren't. They were prepared to march on the Capitol. So
it's not like the Secret Service can't be accused of being in cahoots with the White House when all these handheld documents, messages, emails mysteriously disappear. So
absolutely. There's a scandal there. There's a scandal. We don't know what happened to them. And we'll never know because the phones were wiped clean and done away with. And it just happened to coincide with those dates, which makes it, it's kind of fishy. And so that's one of the things. But the whole thing is, had Trump acted in a normal manner and accepted defeat, would January 6th ever happen? And the answer is no. In a normal situation, it would never have happened in a million years. But they knew that January 6th was the date that the vice president certified it. They look at all the things that he did. They came up with false slates of electors in other states, and there's some criminality that's going on. The Justice Department is looking at that, where they actually signed forged documents and sent them into NARA, to the archives, and as if they were the real electors when they were false. And they were mostly in the battleground states: Arizona, Michigan, Georgia, and people will have to answer to that. And I think that's part of Fani Willis's investigation down in Fulton County in Georgia. So you have that going on. You have John Eastman and all his ideas, and Peter Navarro and Steve Bannon. And of course, the big news out of the January 6th committee today was that they adopted a resolution to subpoena Donald Trump to testify, to come and talk to the January 6th committee or testify under oath. Well, you know what? I know. Do you think he'll uphold that? And if he does, the subpoena has a date. I think it expires at the end of the term of the Congress, so that he's not going to respond to it. If he does show up, he's going to take the fifth. So nothing's going to be accomplished. Nothing's going to be accomplished. And of course, but the committee will expire at the end of by the end of December. So,
listen, we all grew up. You and I grew up in times where the mafia ran the country, so to speak, or had a big hand in it. Is he not a racketeer?
Yeah, he might be a racketeer, but he doesn't go as far as to having people rubbed out like the mafia would. But he likes to do these things, and
well, he has them rubbed out financially.
Yeah,
where he takes money.
Of course. Yeah, he has contractors. He signs contracts with the people, and he doesn't pay his bills. He doesn't pay his attorneys. I don't know why anyone would work for him. And in addition to that, after hearing all this stuff and looking at all the facts as to what he did, the January 6th insurrection, the documents scandal, the phone call to Raffensperger in Georgia and trying to intimidate the Secretary of State down there to find the votes necessary to give him the win, and then threatening him that he would, if he didn't do it, it was criminal and that he'd be in a lot of trouble. And he also has witness intimidation when Marie Yovanovitch, the ambassador to Ukraine, the former ambassador to Ukraine, was testifying at the first in 2019. He tried to intimidate her, but she wouldn't be intimidated. So he's doing all the things that they do in the mafia. You know, witness intimidation, strong arm people, don't pay them. You know, all, and the other thing is, and Michael Cohen has said this many times, is that Roy Cohn taught him to never leave fingerprints. That's why he has no emails, he has no voicemails. He does, and when he uses a phone, I guess a cell phone, it's someone else's phone. So he doesn't want to have any records. And when he had his Trump organization in some of the lawsuits, he would destroy records, because if there's no records, you know, and they subpoena, there's nothing there, doesn't exist. And I have a feeling that's why he took some of the documents. He wanted to go through them and destroy the documents that belong to the American people. Another problem that they have with them down with the documents.
Or sell them to enemies.
Yes, exactly. Don't you think if, let's say he wanted to buy, now that he's out of office and he went back to running the Trump organization, and he wanted to build a Trump Tower in Moscow, and he needed Putin's approval, and Putin says, I'll give you my approval, but what are you going to give me? And he gives him some stuff regarding who our operatives are in Russia, who's in our network. Don't you think he would do that? Of course I do.
Of course.
Of course he did. And this is what makes him so dangerous. And how would you like they're reporting that he was holding on to the documents so he could trade them for the Russia documents. He was going to trade stolen documents that belong to us for other documents that belong to us that aren't his. It doesn't work that way.
And what was he going to do with those documents?
That's it. What is he going to do with them? And some of them were so sensitive they can't even talk about them. And there are folders with marked top secret, I think they were top secret documents that are missing. There's stuff that was supposed to go back to the Secretary of Defense or Secretary of the Navy or whatever, and those documents are missing. Where are they? Who has them? Did they make photocopies? Or, you know, they have national secrets, you know, and it really is very risky to have anything like that in his hands.
So it comes down to, will Garland make a move, pull the trigger?
Well, I think so. A couple of the pundits, former prosecutors, Andrew Weissman, who's a professor of law at the NYU now, he was on the Mueller, one of the lead prosecutors on the Mueller investigation, said that the two things, saying that he took the boxes and stating that they're mine, is prima facie evidence of intent and criminal intent. And so that, with everything else, and plus the obstruction of justice is there too, because he asked one lawyer to sign a document, this guy Alex Cannon, and Cannon refused. And then after the subpoena was issued in May, and the people came down to pick up the documents, they got a small amount of documents. The attorney Christina Bobb signed the document, saying that they had done a thorough search and that there were no more documents, which we know was a lie. And she's in trouble. Yeah. But she had a statement saying that she would sign it, stating that to the best of her knowledge and the information given to me, I believe this to be true, but it wasn't. so the other lawyer, Corcoran, is in trouble because he wrote the document for Bob to sign. So they were lying to the FBI. They were lying because there were more documents. They knew about it, and now there's a witness that Trump told him to move the documents. And this was after the subpoena. And they moved it into his office or wherever they put it. And of course, I don't know how many boxes they have now. They found a bunch there, and they still don't believe that they have everything. There may be more. So who knows what's going on?
You mentioned Cohen, and he has proved to be truthful in all of this. Not initially, but once he started spilling the beans, everything he said is true about Trump.
And his book Revenge just came out on Tuesday, and it documents how the Justice Department went after him when they found out he was going to write a book. They wanted him to sign something, and all threats. They threw him back into solitary confinement. It was just terrible. But Cohen did spend a lot of time with the Letitia James in New York and the district attorney's office in New York when Pomerantz and the other attorney were doing it. And, of course, the new DA, Alvin Bragg, refused to prosecute Trump for whatever reason. He says the investigation's ongoing, but nothing's going on there. But, Letitia James sued the state of New York, sued him for, $250 million, and they want to have him removed, and the kids and everyone can't hold office for 5 years. There's a whole bunch they can't do business in the state of New York for 5 years. All kinds of penalties for what he's doing. So, and of course, when he was he came in to testify when he was deposed by Letitia James's office. He took the fifth 440 times, and in a civil suit, it can be held against you. Not in a criminal suit, but in a civil suit, it can be inferred that you're trying to hide something. So, as far as
right, by saying you think may incriminate me, so I'm not going to talk, trying to hide something. Even Trump used to say that was a sign of being guilty.
Oh, yeah, he said it himself. And then, of course, he said, well, when you get in there and they come after you, you wouldn't believe what they do to you. They ask you questions and you're supposed to answer them.
Right. Coherently.
Yeah.
Crazy. Prediction. Will he be indicted by Garland? Yes or no?
Yes.
Good. Now we can get on to baseball.
Oh, yeah. Let's talk about baseball. Yeah, of course. We got basketball season starting Tuesday night. The Warriors are going to...
I know. Well, I'll talk to you about basketball a little bit first. Draymond smacks Poole in the face, and I saw the film. It's thuggery.
It was. And Draymond has had issues over the years. He has been super in so many games, and he gets a lot of double technicals in the game. I think they're allowed 16 in the season, and then if you exceed 16 double technicals in the season, you get thrown out again. You exceed that limit, you get suspended per game each time you do that. And I think it happened in the 2016 playoffs. He got suspended per game for doing something. I think he was trying to stomp on LeBron James. And he just doesn't use his head. He's a great player. He's an emotional player. He's a leader of that team. He's a great defensive player. He's a great passer, and he's really needed for this team. His play is needed, but these things happen, and they happen too often. He just doesn't think. He doesn't shut up. He keeps on going, and he keeps picking up technicals instead of saying, "Okay, cool it. I'm fine. Okay, it was a bad call. I'll get over it." But he doesn't do that. And so this is, and what happened with him, who knows? I was watching it. Poole may have been talking to him, but they weren't even close, and he walks over to him, bumps him. When Poole pushes him away, Draymond comes after him with a right. And
a right dynamite.
Yeah.
If you were going to clobber a guy in the street, that's the kind of guy you want next to you.
Fortunately, Poole was very mature for his age. He went back to practice right after that. He was fine, and he scored. He played on an exhibition game, scored a lot of points, was playing beautifully. Draymond has apologized. He was off for a week. They said, go get your numbers together, and he's apologized to Poole. They've been talking. They're going to have a long season together, so they got to get over it. They got to get past it, and I hope they do. Draymond's getting to a point in his career where his time with the Warriors might be at an end. He's 32 years old. He's got 1 year left on his contract. He wants a 4-year max contract. Well, if he gets it at age 33, it'll take him to 37. And in basketball, 33 seems to be the year that decline starts to set in. And
right.
I don't know if it's going to happen in his case, but I don't know what a max contract is. It's probably close to $30 million a year. And I don't know if the Warriors are going to want to have him signed on for another 4 years at that price. So
I read something, a blurb on that the Lakers might be in the running for him.
Yeah, I've heard the same thing. Yeah, but I've heard the same thing. The Warriors certainly won't trade him to the Lakers, but if he becomes a free agent, he might sign with them. So that's a possibility. But the Warriors, they always seem to go over into the penalty phase. They exceed the limits. You've got Steph at a max contract. You got Clay at a max contract. Wiggins is at a max contract. Kevon Looney, who played beautifully last year, he's making a nice salary. He's making $7 million a year for the next 3 years. But he's not in that upper echelon range. But he's to me, he's worth every penny. Poole is going to get, I think, $3.9 million this year, and they have to come to an agreement by the 17th, which is next.
Well, they may make it.
Monday.
They may make it 4.9 if he keeps his mouth shut.
Yeah. Well, they have to.
And that wouldn't surprise me. I mean, rightfully so. I mean,
if they don't sign him, he'll become a restricted free agent at the end of the year.
Right.
And I think they want to lock him up because he's so young. I think he's only 22 or 23, and he has so much potential. And the Warriors are going to have a new look to them this year. They got their 7 guys are the 5 starters. Wiseman, Draymond Green, Kevon Looney, and Clay and Steph. And then the 6 and 7 are Weissman and Poole. 8 and 9 will be Kuminga and Moody. 10 is Iguodala. And they got a veteran player, Jermichael Green. and Jermichael had in the exhibition game against the Blazers. He played 16 minutes. He had 20 points, and he hit 4 threes. So I think he's going to be a big addition to the Warriors. And then they have Dante DiVincenzo as another player that they're going to keep. So that's the 12 guys, and they let 2 guys go today, Quinones and can't think of the other fellow. So they were two-way players. So they got 3 guys. They could get some two-way players. Spencer, Patrick Baldwin Jr. maybe, and I can't think of any. But they have a lot of talent. They have a lot of young talent, and they're going to be a good team. Whether or not they win the championship remains to be seen. They got to play the 82 games to determine that. So, and plus the playoffs, of course. So it should be an interesting year. So that's my basketball.
Okay, well, it is an interesting year on baseball. So let's get to that. Give me a little Jerry Feitelberg on the playoffs.
Well, sure. First of all, in the American League, the Mariners surprised me by taking out the Blue Jays in 2 straight games, and they beat them in Toronto. And the Blue Jays were leading 8-1 or 9-1, and they blew the lead, and the Mariners came back and beat them 10-9. That was unbelievable to eliminate them. The Guardians eliminated the Rays in their series, so the Guardians are playing the Yankees. The Yankees won the first game, and today's game was rained out. They're going to play it tomorrow, the second game in New York tomorrow. And the other series was the Astros and the Mariners. And in game 1, the Mariners were ahead 7-3, and you get to the bottom of the 8th. Alex Bregman hit a 2-run homer to make it 7-5, and you go to the bottom of the 9th, and with 2 out and 2 men on, up comes Yordan Alvarez. And I saw Yordan Alvarez homer twice against the A's this year. 2 moonshots. They were just unbelievable. And the A's brought in the lefty to face him. It didn't bother Alvarez. He hit it, 475 feet or wherever it went in that game. So when Scott Service brought in Robbie Ray, I said, gee, I don't know if this is a good idea. Alvarez can hit lefties just as good as righties. So here it was, 2 men on, 2 out. In comes Robbie Ray to pitch. Boom, Alvarez homers, and the Astros get snatched the victory from the jaws of defeat and to win game 1. That was a
I'll
thrilling,
tell you what,
I've
been disliking the Astros since 1962, but I'm rooting for them this year because of Dusty Baker. I would love to see him punch his ticket to the Hall of Fame, and I'll be happy. He is one great guy and has been for baseball for a long time. And
yes, he is. I agree with him. I agree with Dusty. He had great teams with the Giants. He was with the Giants for 10 years, and he went to the World Series with them. And unfortunately, they lost the World Series to the Angels. And a lot of people are still questioning whether he should have taken Rusty Ortiz out of the game. Who knows? But anyway.
And flipping him the ball like that was inspired the Angel bench, so it said.
Yeah.
Scott Spezio, what a hero it made him. And, boy,
Scott Spezio, former Athletic, by the way, broke in with the A's.
Yeah. Has had some bad luck lately in life, but he's trying to recover. And that's the trick. You could be on the mat, but whether or not you get off the mat is how you're going to be judged. And
Yeah, and we're looking at we got to look at the National League and what the Phillies did. The Phillies took the Cardinals 2 straight in St. Louis, which absolutely surprised me. And of course that meant that we had to say goodbye to Yadier Molina and to Albert Pujols. How about what a season Albert had?
And to Wainwright all in the same game.
Yeah.
Yeah. But how about the Phillies and the Braves?
The Phillies and the Braves. Well, the Phillies won the first game, and they won it 7-6. I thought it was going to be over when it was 7-3, but the Rays rallied. And yesterday, the Braves put together a hit batter when Acuna got hit, and then a walk, and then 3 straight singles, and that produced 3 runs. So that was the final score, 3-0. So now they go to Philadelphia for 2, and we'll have to see how that plays out. I don't know what the pitching matchups are going to be. And the other series is the Padres and the Dodgers, and both games had the identical score, 5-3. Dodgers won the first one. Padres won last night 5-3. So that's going to be interesting too. Now the Padres in the series against the Mets, and I know that the Mets broke their heart again this year.
Oh yeah. Well,
you go to 3 games. You go to 3 games, but in Game 3, Joe Musgrove was dynamite. He allowed them 1 hit. The pitching staff, the Padres pitching staff, and then Suarez coming through in 101 miles an hour, and then Hader came in throwing 101 miles an hour. They stopped the Mets attack. They stopped them cold. You can't win games with just 1 hit.
True, but they were expecting an awful lot more from Scherzer than they got.
I think. Do you recall last year? I think Scherzer said he had a dead arm in the playoffs. Do you recall that? And I think he may have run out of gas. He got they hit 4 home runs off of him.
But then again, you can say that without Scherzer, they wouldn't have been there in the first place.
Yeah, true. So, Scherzer, Bassett, and DeGrom were their big 3, and that's all you need in playoffs. Is 3 pitchers. DeGrom he pitched well in Game 2, but he's going to be a free agent. He's 33, and he's looking for a big contract. I don't think he might be back with the Mets. Who knows? So we'll see what happens over the winter. And Nimmo is going to be Nimmo's going to be a free agent too. He might be gone. So
no, he's going to be a free agent, but they're going to make everything they can to sign him. Uncle Steve Cohen said that today.
Oh, he wants to sign Nimmo. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, that makes sense. So there's going to be a lot of free agents out there. Trey Turner's going to be a free agent. Carlos Correa opted out of his Minnesota Twins contract, so he's going to be a free agent. So that would be the team's looking for a shortstop. The Giants, with the new
Trey Turner would be terrific, and Judge too. That's a possibility. Barry Bonds wants Judge to come out and break his record. That's what he says.
Well, I'd love to have Aaron Judge play for the Giants. And the Giants got a new general manager, the assistant general manager from the Astros? I think it was from the Astros. I'm not sure.
I think it was. I think it was. That guy was the guy that had the garbage cans. And All right, Jerry. Your treasure.
I enjoy. Oh, don't forget, we're gonna be having lunch next Wednesday. Judge George Spanos will be joining us, and I'll pick you up at around 12 or 12:10, something like that, next Wednesday. I'll send you a reminder.
I can't wait, Jerry. Thank you for being my friend. Thank you for all you add to my life.
Well, it's a great experience to do the podcast. We can talk politics. We can talk baseball. There's a lot going on in the world today. We hadn't discussed what Putin is doing in Ukraine. That's an international thing. What we should be doing. We have the midterm elections coming up. We didn't discuss that. Whether or not today. Yeah.
It's not like something's not happening all the time. Korea, China, Saudi Arabia, Iran, and Alameda.
Oh. Yeah. Well, one thing about Alameda, it's always good to be in Alameda.
Oh, yes, it is. Best place I ever lived. And I grew up in New York, and that's pretty top-notch, too. But not just Alameda, the East Bay, Northern California. We're blessed, Jerry.
Yes, we are. I was in San Diego for a week a couple of weeks ago, and it's like LA South. Everything is spread out. It's a beautiful city, beautiful beaches. We spent a lot of time. We were in Solano Beach. We stayed with Isla's cousin and her husband.
Oh, nice. Nice.
Yeah, it was nice. And we drove up to towns like Cardiff by the Sea, Carlsbad. We went up to Oceanside. We went to the Coronado. We went to the Del Coronado Hotel for, just a few minutes, for a short time. It's just beautiful down there. But
yeah,
everybody's living in their car. Whereas Alameda is nice. You can actually take the bus in Alameda, public transportation, to get around. So things aren't too bad. And there's no freeway through Alameda. We're an island, just slightly west off the coast of Oakland, and it's very nice. If you want to come to Alameda, you usually have to want something in Alameda. You either live there or want to do some shopping. So,
all right. You know what this is going to be? It's going to be an audition tape for Jerry Feitelberg. He's going to work for the Chamber of Commerce.
Oh, you want me to run for mayor, huh?
No. Trish will be mayor.
Yeah.
All right. Be well, Jerry. Okay. Thanks for listening, everybody. Comfortably Zoned Radio Network. I'm Ralph Tycho. Happy trails. Adios.
Take care. Bye-bye. Bye now.
Bye.
Now, young Pumba. Not so young Pumba. Where's Kizzy? What you want?
The proceeding has been a Comfortably Zoned network production. You are advised to keep your dreams wet, your humor dry, your children and grandchildren out of military recruiting offices and off the laps of clerics who wear dresses. Thank you for listening, everyone. Happy trails.